G'day guys, this is Tia and welcome back to another Fallout 76 video. Today we're going to be showing all of you fine and beautiful vault dwellers of the Wasteland all of the major and minor player hubs you may or may not know about, so that you can make your journey throughout 76 all that more accommodating and enjoyable. This video might be better suited for newer players finding their way in the game, since you could technically have most of the amenities a player hub offers right at your very own camp. But regardless, I'm making this video for you guys so that you can be more informed. This video might be a long one, so I'll have the timestamps to skip ahead if you don't want to hear the explanation, or if you are only interested in a certain player hub. Firstly, if you're confused about what a player hub is, think of those big sprawling places in MMOs where you go to get your trading, deconstruction of gear, crafting, and economical situations sorted out. Unfortunately, there isn't much of a social hub aspect to these places in Fallout 76 at the moment, but there are still a great many hubs where you can do majority of these tasks easily. And some of these places are better than others, which is why I'll be ranking them and giving them a score out of 18 points. Each player hub will score a point for each amenity it can present to the player. I'll list all of what we are looking for in a second, but essentially, the more stuff a hub has for the player, the better it will score. Now, to get the full 18 points, a player hub will have to have the following complete list. All workbenches including armor, weapon, tinkers, chemistry, cooking, and power armor. Each workstation is a point, having all 6 is 6 points. We also want a perk loadout, scrip, and bullion press machine. Each machine is a point. The hub should also have a stash box, at least one vendor, a scrap box, and an ammo storage box for the Fallout First players. Having all of these would be another 4 points. And then points on top if the hub also has a medical and ammo vendor machine, or a donation box, as those can be helpful for the new players. If it's got all 3, then that's 3 more possible points. Then finally, bonus points. If all of these amenities are close together and easy to find, then that's another point. And lastly, bonus points if it is near the fast travel point for the player's convenience. Like I said, all player hubs will be ranked in this video with a score out of 18 based on those listed prerequisites. It's also worth mentioning that some places might have benefits not listed, such as free fast travel, or maybe a unique vendor, or something that makes the place special in its own right, like a quest or a nearby event, something along those lines. Just putting it out there, these sort of things won't be taken into account for my score. I'm being as fair as I can and giving everything the same opportunity as each other. So, now that we know what we are looking for, let's start ranking them. Starting firstly with Gilman Lumber Mill. This is one of the first places you'll discover coming out of the vault, and is definitely a hub intended for new players. Having said that though, it does score quite highly for an early game hub. We have 4 out of 6 workbenches. We've got armor, tinker, weapon, and power armor stations. We have a vendor in the form of June Seaver. We also have ammo and medical machines, as well as a perk loadout machine and a stash box. This would score the Gilman Lumber Mill with a score of 9 out of 18 at face value. But since everything is so close together and all of the fast travel points are very close towards it, I'm going to award it 2 bonus points. Gilman Lumber is a pretty solid starter hub to travel to get yourself situated with a total score of 11 out of 18. The location also has a fair amount of resources and items of value to loot for those new early game players, as well as being the spot you can initiate your responder questline and get some unique plans from the vendor. Solid place, 11 out of 18. Next up we have the Overseer's Camp, also a starter hub for new players. We've got 3 workbenches, the armor, weapons, and cooking, as well as a stash box. If we take the camp at face value right here and there, it scores rather low, even though it will get both bonus points for being close together, scoring a mere 6 out of 18. However, let's take into consideration that literally across the road exists the Wayward, which has a donation box, that's another point, both medical and ammo machines, that's another 2 points, and on the inside we have a vendor in the form of Dutches, as well as what I'm going to count as a point for a pseudo bullion machine in the form of Smiley, since technically you can get gold bullion out of this guy. Hey, why not? Let's count it. This place isn't that great overall, so let's throw it a little bone here. Taking all of that into consideration bumps this hub up from a 6 to an 11 out of 18. Not bad, it's scoring higher than Gilman, but technically has less amenities available to the player, so just keep that in mind that it does score a little bit higher just because it has a donation box and the pseudo gold bullion machine. Next up, we have Nuka World on tour. This player hub is quite interesting. It's the site for a lot of fun public events and even a boss fight. So this place may get that social aspect every now and again, but it will likely fizzle out soonish thereafter the event's completion. Anyway, as for the important stuff, Nuka World scores very highly, having 5 out of 6 workbenches, only missing the cooking station, having a perk and script machine, as well as a stash box and the fall at first scrap and ammo boxes all right here on the central post. The location does have multiple vendors around the park, as well as a unique arcade vendor computer station where you can get some cool goodies for your camp and for your arsenal. On top of everything, it is all close together and convenient for the player, so it will get the 2 bonus points there. Honorable mention, this place does actually have a donation box and a secondary tiny hub close by with a few more workbenches. Right here up the road towards the Nuka launcher ride where the boss fight happens. With all that taken into account, Nuka World scores a very acceptable score of 14 out of 18. For me personally, the only thing that this place is missing is that gold bullion machine and a cooking station. But yeah, overall very solid hub and worth the visit after the events and boss fights mainly. Besides that, I don't really see people going out of their way to come here to do the things they need to do. Next up, we have the trading post from the Skyline Valley region. With the new update came a new region and thankfully a new hub. The trading post has all 6 workbenches littered around the area, multiple of the cooking ones in their own side area, and the chemistry off away from the rest as well. Besides that, the armor, power armor, weapons, and tinkers are all close together in the middle. This place has a vendor in the form of the blue Mr. Handy floating around, and it has the medical and ammo machines, so that's quite nice. It's also got the script machine and a perk loadout machine, a donation box, stash box, and ammo and scrap box for the Fall at First members, all of which lends this hub an actual near perfect score of 17 out of 18. Since it's all close to the travel point and each other, it's quite convenient for the player. Unfortunately, the only thing missing here is a gold bullion machine. Literally, out of my list, that's all this place is missing. But apart from that, it is one of the best hubs at your disposal. If you're ever out this way, I highly recommend using it for all your basic and economic needs. You can sort out your caps, your scrip, your gold bullion, as well as all your crafting needs right here at this place. Next up, we are covering the towns, Crater and Foundation. Let's start with Crater, where the Raiders live. Crater's fast travel point is kind of far and annoying, but majority of its facilities and amenities are close together, so only 1 bonus point there. Crater has all 6 workbenches right in one area, as well as multiple vendors, including a gold bullion vendor inside the core, which is nice but not going to make it score any higher, unfortunately. It's also got a stash box, donation box, and perk loadout machine, all of which are located in the same hallway. The only thing out of the way is the gold bullion vendor and machine inside the core, which can be traveled to directly, but it's still a pain to have it separated from the rest. Crater will be scoring itself 11 out of 18. It's got all of the basics and you'll be fine using it, but it's not got everything it could possibly offer the player like some other hubs. And it doesn't help having the fast travel spots being so far away from each other and having to travel to a separate instance to access the bullion machine. At that point, you might as well use one of the other hubs. Speaking of which, over to Foundation. Here we have the other town, of which belongs to the settlers. Foundation has all 6 workbenches, however they are all separated inexplicably far from each other, which is really annoying. It's got multiple vendors, including Sam the gold bullion vendor, which is nice again, but no bonus points for that. We've also got a donation box, a perk loadout machine, and a gold bullion machine, and a stash box, but that's about it. It's safe to say Foundation's not getting any bonus points for fast travel, or for stuff being close together since you spawn way down the bridge, and everything is spread across the town with no rhyme or reason. All of this contributing to scoring itself a 10 out of 18. Yeah, look, both of the towns, Crater and Foundation, aren't exactly my go-to hubs where I go to get my stuff done, and they can be quite annoying. These towns are going to do just fine. They aren't the best, and they don't offer everything like some other hubs do, like I said before. However, you will be visiting both places quite often for multiple quest lines, as well as the respective gold bullion vendors when you want to make purchases there. Those are just part of the game and not really tied to what I'm trying to showcase in this video with what the hubs themselves can offer you in terms of convenience and overall amenities and facilities. Anyways, like I said, Foundation is scoring itself a mere 10 out of 18. Let's move on. Next up, we have Fort Atlas, the home of the Brotherhood of Steel. Fort Atlas is kind of a pain in the ass as well, mainly because all of its facility is split between inside and outside, and then on separate floors in some cases. Let's start with the workbenches. Outside we have the power armor, and weapon workbench, while inside you have the remaining chemistry and tinker's workbench, as well as the other ones I just mentioned in the armory room. So it's nice that all of those ones are in the same room at least when you go inside. However, downstairs in the kitchen you have the cooking stove. So it does have all 6 workbenches, they're just a little bit spread out. Thankfully, there is a stash box both in the armory and outside in both areas of this little hub. Unfortunately, there's nothing else of use to us inside, just the quest-related stuff. On the outside, we have a donation box and a perk loadout machine out in the front door. And that's about it. There's no vendor or anything or any other facilities beyond that, which I guess makes sense. I doubt Fort Atlas was ever intended to be a proper player hub. But that does beg the question, why do we have a donation box and a perk loadout machine then? Oh well, I think it's safe to say it's not the best hub, and you'll likely only be here to do the Steel Dawn questline. Fort Atlas scores itself a 9 out of 18, scoring no bonus points, because it is kind of far away from each other and far away from the fast travel point. So yeah, overall, I don't recommend Fort Atlas, you'll likely only be here for the questline. Next up we have Rusty Pick, home of Murmur, the mole miner purveyor. Now, early days in the Wasteland, first couple of years of the game being out, this was like the main play hub. This and little parts of Whitesprings, players always found themselves doing their trades and hanging out with their mules and just chilling out. So the Rusty Pick has a lot of nostalgia attached to it as well. Anyways, here we have access to Murmur, a great script vendor where you can pick up multiple legendaries at different star levels. You can pick up legendary modules and vault steel scrap as well for script. Since this is the only vendor here in the hub area, I suppose I'll award that point, but there's no other actual vendors here that are for caps, so that's unfortunate. However, the Rusty Pick does have all workbenches. The armor, power armor, weapon, and chemistry are downstairs, while the tinker's is upstairs in the bathroom, and the cooking station is outside on the roof, which is a little bit annoying. Interestingly enough, there is also a brewing station downstairs, which is quite nice, but not worth a point. Everything else is on the main floor. We have the script machine, perk loadout machine, stash box, and scrap box, allowing you all the basic comforts you'd need, but nothing really beyond that. Honorable mention outside, we do have a U-Mine vending machine where you can purchase multiple treasure maps. Ultimately, this isn't the best hub. It's mainly a go-to area to access the purveyor and maybe use the script machine. Besides that, it just has a lot of nostalgia. People just are used to going here, so it is their go-to hub. Beyond that though, it does get both of the bonus points since everything is close together and it's close to the fast travel points. With that said, the Rusty Pick scores itself 14 out of 18. It's better than your average hub. Next is the Whitesprings Mall, or more specifically, the Artisan's Corner within the mall. This place is great. It essentially has everything you need right here in one room. We've got all 6 workbenches, weapons, armor, power armor, tinkers, chemistry, and cooking. We've also got a stash box, as well as the Fallout First ammo and scrap boxes. We've got multiple unique vendors, all selling different items and plans. We've got a genuine gold bullion machine, as well as a script and perk machine. And it also has the ammo and medical machines on top. That right there scores us 15 points in this room alone. And we definitely will get those points for it being all close together to the travel point and with each other, bringing us to an almost perfect score of 17 out of 18. The only thing it's literally missing is a donation box. However, I will acknowledge the fact that outside on the other side of the building by the Whitesprings Refuge, there is a donation box out there by the front door. It's just too far and out of the way for me to award the point in my opinion, so it's not technically in this hub zone area. However guys, this hub does have something that no other hub has, the responders, and access to their multiple daily quests and expedition missions, as well as a whole other smaller hub right upstairs in the refuge. This hub uniquely has a Nuka Cola vendor and the stamp vendor Giuseppe. And if all of that doesn't convince you, then come on guys, look at this. It's even got a brewing station. And while all of that is not essential to my list, it's an honorable mention that does earn it that last point. So stuff it. Let's just say this place is a solid 18 out of 18, with a hell of a lot of bonus points getting it there. It's got multiple unique vendors, ease of access, all of the amenities and facilities you could want. You can sort out all of your economical needs, be that caps, scrip, gold bullion, anything you want. It's all right here in one room. This is just a great hub and should be your go-to for majority of your playtime if you're mid to late game levels. Honestly, this is probably the best hub in the game since everything is so available and easy to access. Like I said, it's only missing the donation box. Literally, that's the only thing it's missing. Which we don't really need, but to make up for it, the mall offers so much more than the rest of the other hubs can offer. So yeah, genuinely, best hub in the game. I'd recommend it over all else, especially since the Whitesprings was supposed to be the social hub of 76 in the early days. Okay, and to finish off this video strong, we will be covering the Whitesprings Bunker as our last hub. Having two entrances, either the service entrance or the bunker itself, it's definitely a hub for late game players that have completed the Enclave storyline, being fairly easy to walk into, but still being a pain to directly get to. No ease of access bonus point here, unfortunately. Let's start with workbenches. The bunker has all 6. The power armor, weapons, armor, and tinker are all in the main assembly production floor, but the closest chemistry ones are downstairs in the science and medical wing, while, you guessed it, the cooking one is in the kitchen. There's also multiple vendors down here, including the science wing vendor that sells mutations and mutation recipes, and also upstairs in the command wing, we have the armory vendor. Speaking of which, this wing also has more workbenches. There are also stash boxes littered about the place in most wings. Unfortunately, at face value, none of it's really close together or easy to get to, and it's quite a maze down here. The bunker scores the lowest with an 8 out of 18, with no additional bonus points since it's not really close to where you fast travel to, and everything is far away from each other in different wings. It's really just got all the workbenches, stash boxes, and the vendors. Again, I'm sure this place was never designed to be a hub. Nevertheless, if it was supposed to be one, it sucks. Which is disappointing because this place is quite a cool place to visit, and the quest associated with it is pretty good too. All in all, it has a unique vendor, but not much else to offer, or to incentivize a return trip from the player. Now, that does end off the video and the list itself, but I want to give a few honorable mentions to the minor player hubs of the game, the train stations of Appalachia. When major hubs might be out of reach, there's always a handy train station nearby for your average low level, or over-encumbered, or uninformed vault dweller. Most train stations offer at least 1 out of the 6 workbenches. Mostly it will be either weapons, chemistry, tinkers, or armor. Rarely you might have a cooking station in addition to your singular workbench. Train stations also have a robot vendor, a stash box, the medical and ammo machines, a script machine, a donation machine, and a perk loadout machine. These stations make for great pseudo-temporary player hubs depending on your needs and locations. Some are better than others depending on which workbench they have, but by and large, they all generally have an average score of 8 out of 18. Like I said, they are guaranteed to have all of those mentioned amenities and one singular workbench. So that's the list, guys. In order of the best to worst, we have the Whitesprings Mall in first place, the Trading Post in second place, and then Nuka World on tour in third place. And then we have the Rusty Pick, Freighter, Overseer's Camp, Gilman Lumberyard, Foundation, Fort Atlas, and then the Whitesprings Bunker in last place, with the honourable lower scoring mentions to all of the train stations of Appalachia. I hope you found this video helpful or informative. I know it's probably pointless and everyone already knows the best hubs to visit, but it's still a guide I wanted to make. So cheers legends if you've watched this far. I'll see you in the next one. Let's roll the outro. That's going to do it for me. A massive shout out to all of my channel members. You're all legends and thank you for your continued support on the channel. If you like what I do here and you'd like to support me further, then consider becoming a member or check out my merch store. We've got a lot of great designs and benefits, so be sure to check that out in the description. And while you're down there, chuck me a follow on my other social medias and join my Discord. Subscribe if you're new and like the video if you've enjoyed. I've been Tia, and I'll catch us in the next one. Welcome to Valhalla.